According to Marxist film theory, which was developed by German philosopher Karl Marx, conflict emerging from our relationship with material commodities will propel society. Originally, mankind was primarily concerned with the most basic necessities, but as the population increased, economic structures were developed to meet the demands of all. This led to the creation of capitalism, an economic system which, to Marx, feeds on exploitation, which causes widespread misery, which he labels alienation. According to Marx, the growing disparity between the working class and the capitalists will become so apparent that workers will rise up and destroy the rulers' domination, bringing about a new society. As a result, the rulers of the capitalist society we live in today has emasculated men through consumerist culture, which is characterized by society's obsessive pursuit of satisfaction, identity, and community through the possession of commodities. Consumerist culture acts as a tool to control men in order to prevent them from revolting against the rulers of modern society. Therefore, a common trait in Marxist films is to aggressively demonstrate reality in order to awaken those that are quote-unquote brainwashed into thinking this is an acceptable way of life. Two films that fit this category are Fight Club 1999 by American director David Fincher and Network 1976 by American director Sidney Lumet. I've chosen these two films because they both use mise-en-scène, cinematography, and sound to criticize consumerism's effect on men's mental health. Fight Club is set in America during the mid-90s, a period of economic calm wherein prices were stable, unemployment fell to its lowest level in 30 years, the stock market boomed, and the government posted a budget surplus, which meant that consumerism was at an all-time high.
We have no Great War, no Great Depression. Our Great War is a spiritual war. Our Great Depression is our lives.
Fight Club tells a story of an insomniac office worker and a devil-may-care soap maker who form an underground fight club that evolves into much more. Network is set in 1970s America, where terrorist brutality dominates the evening news in a time of post-war where economic growth began to diminish because of increased foreign competition, the cost of the Vietnam War, and the reduction of industrial jobs. Thus, unemployment rates increased while a mixture of price rises and income stagnation resulted in stagflation, a period of economic depression.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression.
Meanwhile, Howard Beale, the elderly UBS news anchor, has lost his once dominant ratings share and has been fired by the network. Beale's response is unusual, and we then witness how this impacts Beale, his colleagues, and the network.
I'm going to blow my brains out right on this program a week from today.
Both films use mise-en-scène techniques to portray how modern consumerism has emasculated men. In Fight Club, the narrator's pale skin, coupled with his massive eye bags, shows how makeup is used on the narrator to portray his emasculation as a result of being quite literally consumed by consumerist culture. The narrator works in an environment where everyone is a
copy of a copy of a copy.
Printing the same things, dressing with the same suits of the same bland and neutral colors, whilst drinking the same Starbucks latte. The narrator is a prime example of an emasculated consumer. He's weak, goes to support groups where he hugs people and cries, with his only passion being IKEA furniture.
What kind of dining set defines me as a person?
By living such a monotonous life without any form of human connection, he is quite literally a slave to the modern capitalist system, which has created a world where we all work jobs for mega corporations that are completely unfulfilling.
Your life, and it's ending 1 minute at a time.
The narrator flies a lot as part of his job, showing that he is constantly on the move, and thus depicting his life as a series of shallow events. Because of this, the narrator consumes products packaged in atomized portions, such as shampoo-conditioner combos, sample-packaged mouthwash, tiny bars of soap, emphasizing his transient and emasculated life. Likewise, in Network, costumes between co-workers are extremely similar, with the neutral colored suits emphasizing the lack of identity, thereby emasculating men in the workplace of consumer capitalism. This film also portrays the emasculation of men through a relationship with diverse gender roles as a result of a calculated, powerful, and career-driven woman named Diana Christensen, who's too much to handle for Max Schumacher, a former news division president, who was ironically fired because of her.
It's not your show anymore, Max, it's mine.
Diana's costumes also favors her neutral color palette, which reflect her stoic exterior. Any warmth she might possess is dulled by the taupes and creams that she wears from head to toe. She blends in with the colors of the office, demonstrating her comfortability in a male-dominated industry, thereby emasculating men. In terms of lighting in Fight Club, initially we see high-key lighting, such as in the artificially lit office. But as the story progresses and the narrator starts to embrace his masculinity, low-key lighting becomes predominantly used, thereby implying that high-key lighting was employed to highlight the emasculated version of the narrator. Conversely, in Network, to portray the issue of media manipulation visually, director Sidney Lumet said the following: "Since it was a movie about corruption, we corrupted the camera. The opening scene between Max Schumacher and Peter Finch on 6th Avenue was totally naturalistic and shot and lit that way. The minute Faye Dunaway appears, the light changes completely, and by the last scene, the movie looks like a Ford commercial." Overall, both films use bright, high-key lighting to portray consumers' culture, and so by having high-key lighting at the end of the story for Network, it implies that the characters become increasingly consumed by consumers' culture, whereas in Fight Club, the lighting becomes low-key, and thus the characters break free from consumers' culture. Fight Club uses diegetic sounds in order to demonstrate the alienation of men as a result of consumer capitalism. Diegetic sounds are predominantly used to match the visual environment, creating a strong sense of realism.
Anything. Life insurance pays off triple if you die on a business trip.
Men are becoming increasingly weaker due to modern society, and in order to break free from this, the film demonstrates that men must embrace their masculinity by seeking discomfort, thereby alienating themselves from the safe, clean, docile, and comfortable nature of modern society. And so as the film progresses, the characters become increasingly bruised, unhygienic, and overall unhealthy, and so does their environment. The Foley sounds coupled with the background noise reflect this through the dry punches and the cheering of the crowd during the fight scene. Similar Foley sounds are used to depict the wrecked environment the narrator now lives in.
Nothing worked.
Similarly in Network, diegetic sound is essential, especially in the form of monologues, for characters to express how they feel alienated by consumer capitalism through the meaninglessness of their work.
Well, every day, 5 days a week for 15 years, I've been sitting behind that desk, the dispassionate pundit, reporting with seemly detachment the daily parade of lunacies that constitute the news. And just once, I wanted to say what I really felt.
The conversational tone, coupled with the neutral pitch and volume of Howard Beale's voice, creates a genuine moment of clarity, where he is communicating his alienation from his labor by being as much of a commodity as his service. During the course of Fight Club, Fincher employs a wide range of long, medium close-up and extreme close-up shots. These shots alternate often throughout the movie, which makes the story more captivating. As the film unfolds and Project Mayhem increases in scale, the participants become progressively dehumanized as a result of their desire for vengeance against consumers' culture. Fincher conveys this by interchanging medium shots with close-up shots in combat scenes, presenting the perspective of a viewer as well as that of a fighter. This bipolar camera technique generates additional violence, making the scene more chaotic, as if it were a real fight, showing the escalating levels of dehumanization. Long shots are employed to create space surrounding each character, effectively pushing everything farther away, emphasizing the sense that these individuals are the furthest thing from normal, further underlining the cult's growing dehumanizing nature. On the other hand, Network focuses on camera angle rather than shots in order to relate to its fundamental message regarding the power of the media to control and dehumanize a population. This monopoly power in the hands of a corporate mindset, one driven exclusively by profit, endangers the American principles of individualism and freedom of thought, thereby dehumanizing. Therefore, the film uses cinematography to highlight conformism. The director employs low-angle shots to show power dynamics. This effectively depicts Mr. Beale as powerless, thereby dehumanizing him. The circular background of the Howard Beale show is emphasized by the deep focus to further symbolize wholeness and truth. However, after being confronted by Mr. Jensen, the depth of field shifted to a shallow focus only on Mr. Beale. This implies that the only truth and realness of TV has been stripped from the audience, further depicting the dehumanization of consumerist culture. Both films highlight a unified frustration illustrating a combined societal insanity, ultimately highlighting how modern-day consumerist culture affects men's mental health during different economic phases.